time to introduce this week's Legend of the Game, former Bills offensive lineman Jim Ritcher. Legend of the Game is presented by the BFLO Store, the official retailer of the Buffalo Bills, and I left out a part there. Wall of Famer Jim Ritcher. I should mention that as well. My question to you, Jim, is the neck roll going to be on when you're out there Sunday afternoon? I think it should be.
Well, just the amount of weight that I put on is the roll around my chin and neck there, but no neck roll, no.
We don't see it anymore. Nobody wears it.
Nobody
is
wears
that
neck
wild to
rolls
you at
anymore.
all? Or
Yeah, I don't know how they do it, especially the way they hit each other out there.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. No.
I mean, that was a trademark. for you.
You left the Bills when you retired, and you were part of that whole crew that we were going to the Super Bowl and all that, and you were always a little bit undersized as an offensive lineman, but people may not know this, Jim could outrun me.
No, that's not true.
So that, which is one of the reasons he was so valuable to us, and he was that, for those of you who know, he's the guy that had your helmet was attached to your shoulder pads.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But talking about you and running, all I remember is Steve running down on kickoffs and getting knocked down 2 or 3 times and still being the first one to the ball carrier and making the tackle.
You're obviously old enough to be retired because that never happened.
That's not true.
You just retired from your career after football, which was an airline pilot. Did that for decades, right?
Well, a couple, almost. It was a little over 24 years.
Yeah.
I did it. I did some. Well, actually, if you count in the year and some change with Continental Express, and then I went to American.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah. Well, over 25 then.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
So is that something that you studied in school at NC State, or did you go to flight school after your football career was over?
I went to flight school after
Yeah.
the career was over. Well, no. I take that back. I started in '86.
Okay.
And
so you were doing it while you were still playing.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I remember you didn't have a contract one year, and we were in training camp, and you flew the plane over the top of, right?
Yeah, I did over training camp.
Yeah, over training camp.
What was it, like a Sandpiper or something, or a little Cessna?
No, it was a little Cessna.
Yeah.
Freddie was out there, and he's like, "There's Richter. Look, that there he is, right there." Fred. He was bitter. So you were here in Buffalo. You had fond memories of your time here in Buffalo. You and your lovely wife Harriet, who's here with you. 3 boys here born in Buffalo.
They're all born in Buffalo here.
Yeah.
And all consider themselves Buffalonians. They do. We've lived in Raleigh a long time, but they may never. When we first left, they said, "Well, we're definitely going back to Buffalo, and we're going to live there when we get old enough." But now they know about the weather, and I've brought them back a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll be full-time Buffalonians, but they'll always have a heart for Buffalo.
Yeah.
So you going to NC State, you should talk to Brandon Beane. He grew up in Wilmington and was a huge Wolfpack fan growing up. So if you happen to cross paths with our GM Brandon Beane, you should talk to him about that. He'd be very happy to talk a little NC State with you. Outland Trophy was something you won in college as the best interior lineman in the country. How does that, because the college trophy, there's a college trophy for almost every position. Do they still reach out to you? I'm sure you get invited every year to a banquet or something, right? Where do they usually hold that?
It used to be in New York. I'm not sure anymore, but they do. They reach out, and I just haven't. I was flying. I was out.
Yeah.
I can make a lot of excuses, but I just hadn't. Taking the chance to go or the opportunity.
What do you remember about winning that back in, 79, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, what I think about it is all the real, true, great ones were hurt that year, and I was still healthy, and so it's been sort of like
you were the last guy standing.
Well,
right?
you look at it.
I mean, there was capital M.
There was Anthony Munoz,
Okay.
but he ended up getting hurt late near the end of the season. Clark, the defensive tackle from Penn State at the time. What was the outside linebacker for Pitt at the time?
Joe Green. Was that him?
Not Joe.
Not Joe Green.
Hugh
Green.
Hugh Green.
Yeah.
That's right. And there was a number of them, and I just thought, well, they all got hurt at the end of the season, so I got it by forfeit there.
Yeah, nice.
But you get to go up to the banquet in New York, and they do the whole shebang
Yeah,
there?
that was great. It was wonderful.
You had a nice career here in Buffalo. How long did you play here?
14 years.
14 years, and then you had a quick year in Atlanta, maybe at the end, something like that.
I went down and cheerleaded for 2 years down
There
in
you go.
Atlanta.
2 years. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, it's a nice way to finish.
Why did you attach your helmet to your pads? There had to be a method or a reason for that.
Well, I used to get a lot of stingers, and
Okay.
And our doctor here had told me, he said, if you don't, if we can't stop getting those stingers, I'm not going to allow you to play anymore. He's just like, this is ridiculous. And so he, Woody and I would get together, and I was just like, well, if because sometimes when I would hit, it would go down in between the shoulder pads and where they came up to my neck, and so probably not a good idea. But I would take this copper pipe and I attached it across there so the neck collar couldn't go down past that.
With copper pipe.
Yeah, with the copper pipe there.
Guys will do anything to play, Brownie.
And
you know what? Think about it. I tell you.
So then, it helped quite a bit, but I would still duck my head when I would hit something.
So inside that gray foam tubing.
No, it was outside.
Oh, it was outside.
Yeah, and then the collar would lay on top of that. But what ended up happening was I would put my head down. So what I needed to do was keep it up against that. And so then I attached, or Woody and I would attach the straps from the helmet to the shoulder pads, and it kept it back.
Canvas
so I would have to turn.
Yeah, you didn't.
Like,
Looking a little Frankenstein-y, yeah.
Exactly.
Because there would be the highlights of Jim be sitting there at guard, and he wouldn't move at all, but his eyes were going, like his eyes were all the way over here, and then they would go all the way over there, trying to see everything because he couldn't turn his head.
Yeah, so that had to be a challenge peripherally, like
Well,
picking
I'm
up
not
a guy on
pitching
a
a
stunt
pass
or
or
a
anything.
twist.
All I got to do is block
Yeah.
the guy in front of me.
But I'm
so
thinking like
I didn't have
guy
to
on a
look around
stunt
too
or a
much.
twist, like
Yeah.
you're worried coming from the side
It
there.
wouldn't work for many of the players out there, like a receiver or something.
Yeah.
You made a couple of Pro Bowls. I mean, I think I played in a Pro Bowl
Yeah,
with you.
you were MVP of the Pro Bowl that I was.
Oh, that
in.
'93 one?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was-
Sweet. I made us an extra 10 grand. Yeah, that was. I remember that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right, so Jim, like offensive linemen can be like energetic guys for a locker room, but were you ever like the guy in the locker room giving the pregame speech? I mean, yeah. So
No.
have you been watching some of your predecessors here with the pregame responsibilities?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not seen that.
Because look, the crowd's going to be pretty amped on their own, as we know.
Yeah.
You're the fire starter,
There are
man.
expectations for you when you take the mic in
Steve's
front of
done it.
80,000 people. So you got to ask them what you're supposed to say, and just say that.
Okay.
Just say that.
But
and
do a
it'll
little
go
vim
great.
and vigor.
Yeah, you'll have your own spin on it, no question. But just ask them what you're supposed to say it, and lay it down, because it ain't easy. As easy as it may look for some guys, it ain't easy to do it.
Okay.
16th pick in the draft back in 1980. Where were you on draft day? Were you just sitting in your college dorm, or like? It's a little different now. You got people in their homes. They got their suits on. Their whole family's there. It's like a house party. Where were you in 1980 on draft day?
I was in the coaches' offices up, at the facility that we had, and just waiting for the call to see. And, Buffalo had the 10th pick in that draft.
Okay.
And, I was thinking, figuring maybe, I would be down a little more from there. And so I was thinking, oh, maybe Seattle, I'll be going to Seattle. And, I'd been out there, and there were young
Did a pre-draft
Zorn and all
Right,
those guys
right.
out there at the time. I was this would be good, But they traded up with Buffalo, so they got the 10th pick.
Yeah.
And I thought, when they first announced that, I was thinking, oh, they're trading up to get me.
Right.
But then they picked, and I'm going to forget who it was. He was a defensive end back then, and they took him, and he was a really great all-pro type player, and I came to the Bills, and like I said, I don't know why they drafted me at all as a center, because what they wanted me to do, I wasn't very good at. I was a veer type, just scramble, And now I come to training camp, and there's Fred Smerlis, 320 pounds. Most of the nose guards I saw in the ACC were 190 pounds.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were quick, and I
Yeah.
needed to be quick, but, you know, I wasn't going to come off the ball and drive someone back. And, you know, they put Fred Smerlis over me, who's quick as a cat, close to the ball. He's always offsides. And, you know, that was pretty difficult.
Yeah, but
And so the next
218
year-
games later, there you are on the
Yeah,
Hall
and
of Fame.
you and Freddie still gives you a lot of credit for making him a better player. You guys were really close buddies.
Still are.
And I mean, I guess you get that way when you bang heads with each
Yeah.
other for 14
But when you
years.
fight every day, you know.
fight every day, and you start to get a close relationship. And I know you're right. You can't have a conversation about the Buffalo Bills that your name doesn't come up when you're talking to Fred. So I know you two have worked really close. Even when I got there in '86, your relationship, you guys had been together for a half a dozen years, and by that time you had buckled your helmet down and you got all that stuff straightened out.
Yeah, that's probably half the problem with my neck was Fred mashing into me every
Freddie was the
600 times a day.
There wasn't much subtlety to Fred in anything. Jacob Green was the
Yeah, that's who I
defensive
was-
end you were thinking of.
Jacob Green.
Who, I'll just be honest, I had never heard of him until this moment. Had 115 and a half sacks in his career. That's a pretty good NFL career, man. Like,
Very good.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, he only played until 92. So he only got about 12 years in. So that's pretty good.
Jimmy, it's good to see you, man. Thanks for
It's
dropping
great.
by.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You
good
have
luck
a-
getting
hope
them
you
fired
have
up.
a great weekend. What are you going to do tomorrow on your day off? You going to sign some stuff and go out and make an appearance anywhere, or what?
Not that I know of, but maybe. We have some friends from Raleigh, with us, and we want to take them to Niagara Falls. They've never seen Niagara Falls.
Oh,
so
cool.
we'll go
Yeah,
up there.
definitely do that.
And we're going to get a tour of the stadium right now after finish up here.
Very nice, cool.
yeah.
And, so they're excited.
Yeah,
and
you
we're
picked-
excited to have them here.
You
and
picked a heck
excited
of a
to see
weekend.
game. Yeah,
It's going to be
Tremendous
absolutely
weekend,
beautiful.
yeah.
It might even be
Beautiful.
70 degrees on
yeah,
Sunday.
it's unbelievable weather.
Yeah, it is.
So we made it nice for you. It's a
Thank
Chamber
you
of
so
Commerce
much.
weekend.
Yeah.
Good to see you as always, and enjoy it. Enjoy it. You're going to be the center of attention for about 25 seconds. That's Jim Ritcher, Bills Wall of Fame offensive lineman.